Have you ever heard about summer learning loss, whether or not you've been in the public school sphere or just a homeschool mom for a long time? So, we're going to dive in, we're going to talk about it, we're going to talk about things that we can do and what the research talked about. And yeah, let's jump into it. Hi, my name is Amanda from Learning to Love Well, and this channel is dedicated to all things homeschool and specifically from a biblical worldview. You know, everything that we do according to the Bible, whether we eat or whether we drink, we're supposed to do it all unto the Lord. And homeschool is no exception. I do out of the conviction because I love the Lord and I want to bring up my children training and instruction of the Lord. Summer learning loss is something that I think we hear about, especially if you've ever hung out with anyone who has a teaching degree, or if you notice at the beginning of your new curriculums, a lot of times it looks very similar to things that you did like mid-year or maybe towards the end of the year. And you're just like, why are we repeating the same things over and over? And a lot of times those parts of your curriculum are put in there because they want to make sure that your child has retained the things from the year before. So we just started a New Horizons curriculum. In full disclosure, me and my kids homeschool year around. Now, there are multiple reasons why we do that. Summer learning loss is one of the factors in that why I choose to continue homeschooling year round. Kind of some of the statistics about it, and I did find some research. Now, this is a little bit of a mixed bag because apparently depending on, social economics, whether or not your kids go to like a summer camp or like an after school program, obviously all of these factors are going to factor into whether or not your child retains the things that they learned or whether they have net gains or net losses. And so I have a quote done by David Quinn and Morgan Polkoff. I don't know if I said it wrong, I'm sorry. And this was put out in 2017, and it says one study using data from over 500,000 students in grades 2 through 9 from a southern state from the time period of 2008 to 2012 found that students on average lost between 25 and 30% of their school year learning over the summer. It also goes on to say in the same article, however, it didn't seem that significant for people in grades K to 1. So those students didn't show significant loss, but from grades 2 to 9th grade. Now, the fact that they tracked they tracked it from 2008 to 2012. That's a pretty good period of time to be tracking it. They did say, however, an analysis from nationally representative early childhood longitudinal study kindergarten class of 2010 to 11 found little evidence of overall loss. In kindergarten, we tend to be just teaching, kind of the basic things, but because that doesn't show a significant, really net loss, I would say that depending on how old your child is, depends on how much of the stuff that you want to integrate. Because if you have a child who is already, say, struggling in an area, and then you allow them to go the entire summer without picking up a book, without doing anything, when you go to pick up that book again in the next year, you could find that you're even struggling even more than you were at the end of the year. So what do we do? Okay, so that is where I am headed with this video, is things that we can do to combat summer learning loss, as it's been coined to say. Things that you could do that if you are not choosing to year-round homeschool like me and my children, that you could do as a family to integrate learning into the time that you are off this summer. Okay, so number one is, I'm very familiar, is a summer reading list. So summer reading list is finding books that you and your children want to read either together or individually, and maybe talk about them. so that you guys have one, a talking point, and two, you keep your kids reading, because keeping them reading will help those skills continue to hone in over the summer, and so that they're not regressing. Another thing is, along the same lines, is if you are not already doing this, doing a Bible study with your kid or your children would be awesome. I know it sounds really daunting, but it really is not. If you sit down and read a chapter and talk about what you're reading as you read, and you go through an entire book, it really is way easier than you would think. Reading out loud to your children, it's amazing how much more you can retain, and how much they retain, and how much they can ask questions, and how this can open up great conversation. And it's also introducing them to new words, new concepts, new vocabulary, new sentence structure. They're still being immersed in language, and it's also spiritually nourishing. So bonus points. Okay. So in addition to that, summer reading list, find things that fascinate your children. Find things that are theologically rich. Like C.S. Lewis has really, really good books, by the way, if you're looking for it. I remember reading Mere Christianity. Screwtape Letters might be a little later on. Yeah, Mere Christianity was a really, really good book. Or even getting like a New Testament survey and going through it together. Or Master Books has some really good books that you can read together with your younger ones. They do have like mini theological books that kind of help introduce your children to the understanding of the big concepts in Scripture. And it helps kind of break it down in bite-sized pieces for them. So yeah, and then on top of that, you could start maybe your kids are a little bit older, but you guys never did a paleontology curriculum, and you guys just think that would be more fun and more hands-on that you guys could just do as readers. Another really good one for Master Books would also be Children's Apologetics. If you look it up, that would be a really cool one. It's very short. You could do it like a morning basket. It doesn't have to be long, but it's got questions that kids submitted and how they answer it according, and where they get their scriptures from, or where they get their answers from in Scripture. So it's really cool. And one, it keeps their brains going. It keeps everybody still on track. And so it won't be so hard to pick up later on after you get back in school. Working together. Now, we all know, I think I put out a video probably about a year time ago. I don't remember how long it was. About how much cooking together can benefit your children. And I'm not just talking about nutritionally, and I'm not just talking about family bonding, but the amount of skill that cooking takes from recipe. It takes reading comprehension skills. It takes math skills, especially if you're doubling a recipe, or if you're learning cups and measurements, and that's something that they did last year and you just need that reinforcement. Or you can even just pull out a scale and have them start weighing ounces and grams if you're doing a baking recipe, and introducing them and using math concepts while you are baking or while you are cooking, and just getting that family time and getting those skills honed in, which would be just absolutely amazing for your family as well. Number 3 is going to be super easy and super obvious. It's STEAM projects, or STEM projects. Science, technology, engineering, math, or some people do STEAM for art. And if you are one of those people who are like, okay, I don't even know to start with this, there are plenty of little kits on Amazon. You don't necessarily have to get the name brand ones, although we do like KiwiCo. We get them from time to time for my kids, and we enjoy having, sometimes our homeschool days are, we do a whole STEAM day or a STEM day where the kids are working on their KiwiCo crates and they have to learn something, and it's really cool, and it allows them to have some hands-on tangible experience. They're still having to read, they're still having to put it together, they're still having to use skills, but they get that tactile, hands-on projects that are a little bit more fun than just bookwork. So if you are looking for something, KiwiCo, Mel Science has kits. I talked about those during a Black Friday video. I haven't tried them yet. one of the people commented and they said that they were really cool. So one of these days, Lord willing, we can get those. And even Amazon has STEM or STEAM kits. Even Walmart has STEM and STEAM kits. There are plenty of ways to integrate it so that you can keep the love of learning up and going, but maybe do it with a little bit more hands-on play. 4 is return to board games. So I know that board games is not something that a lot of us do anymore, but my family does like them. It is fun. We can sit down and do board games or card games. I'm actually sitting here looking at one right now. It's called Who Knows Me Better? And it is a card game where there's one that's Who Knows Me Better. One of them's Who's Know History, Who knows Science Better. But they're just little cards that you can have. And if you have kids that are learning to read, this is a really good way to engage them because they have to read the whole card and then give the questions to everyone so they can guess who knows them better and what they would prefer. And it's a really cool way to, one, get to know each other better. It also incorporates reading, strategy games. We have a game called Wildcraft, which it's learning all about herbs and their medicinal purposes. We have Cash Flow, which is like a financial awareness game. You know, you have your Monopoly games. It's using money and using math skills. So, I mean, like, there's so many ways that you can just keep their brains going throughout the summer. That doesn't have to be daunting. It can be super fun and super engaging and get tons of family time. Number 5 is trips to the library. So what most people don't know is that your local library extension a lot of times has STEAM kits, has STEM kits. Sometimes they have book reading kits that you can take home. I know that sometimes they even have like anatomy kits. Like the amount of things that they have is pretty awesome. And it is super fun to be able to look through the resources they have, and just letting your kids pick out what they want to read and what they want to learn about can excite their love of learning. Also, a lot of times they have days like engagement days. Sometimes they actually do have STEAM or STEM days. Some are like Lego building or integrative things that your kids could actually sign up and learn over the summer. And a lot of times they're very minimally priced if they cost anything. So if you're looking for a cheap option to be able to do with your kids so that you're not worried about any learning gaps over the summer, that might be an option and a really good one. Okay, so number 6 is the last one we're gonna do, and it's kind of a weird one. Okay, so if you've been on this channel for a little while, you know that I majored in psychology. And I have a bachelor's, and that's what I hold. One in communication, one in psychology. And during working through cognitive psychology, we had to watch a TED Talk from this lady, and she was talking about exercise and how important it is for memory recall. As weird as that is, sometimes the best thing that you can do for your brain and your memory recall and you retaining knowledge is simply getting exercise. So in her video, and I'm going to link it down below if I can find it, she talks about how 3 to 4, I think it's 4 to 5 or 3 to 4 days, exercising for 30 minutes of good cardiovascular exercise can supercharge your hippocampus and your prefrontal cortex. And this helps with memory recall and decision making and all of that. And it's really cool to see how physical exercise can actually help your brain to just function at a higher capacity and to work quicker and retain information. So if you are looking for another thing that can help your child not have any gaps in learning, just getting out, going for a run, going hiking, going on trail rides, going to a soccer game, going and playing, baseball together or football together every single day or 3 to 4 times a week can do amazing things for your children's brain and yours. And so if you are one of those people who are like, you know what, I don't want my kids to lose any of the information, one of the things that you could do is simply integrate good, solid exercise routines for you and your kids, because it helps keep your brain healthy, it helps keep our bodies healthy, it helps with stewardship of our bodies, and it works together for our benefit. I encourage you to not just allow your time off to become lull time, but take that time, if you are taking the whole summer vacation, to use it to, one, glorify God, and two, to continue working on you and your children's education so that there aren't a big struggle come August. Sometimes the best thing that we can do for ourselves in August is what we do to prepare for August. Well, I hope this helps someone. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Good night and God bless.